The definition of the 1998 Rome Statute. It says, the crime of apartheid is defined as inhuman acts committed in the context of an institutionalized regime of systematic oppression and domination by one racial group over any other racial group or groups, and committed with the intention of maintaining that regime. Now that would apply to an Adolf Hitler. That did apply in the case of South Africa. It does not in any possible imagination or universe apply in any possible sense to the Jewish state of Israel. And yet that is what our Secretary of State said last Friday in reference to our greatest ally. Our Secretary of State needs to apologize humbly to the people of Israel, and then he needs to tender his resignation immediately to the President of the United States. But our Secretary of State didn't stop there. He went on to reiterate a statement that he had made prior that merely was an echo of what the Palestinians had intimated. It was this: that Israel could be looking at a third intifada. That is a war. That Israel could look at a war by the Palestinians, by people who would engage in terrorist acts against Israel. That Israel could be looking at the threat of another war if they failed to give up 40% of their land to people who, number one, don't recognize that Israel has the right to exist, and number two, that they have a right to exist as a Jewish state, and number three, that they have the right to defend themselves. Since when do we force our greatest ally to sit down with people and negotiate with people who want to see them killed and annihilated? The stated position of Hamas. Just read Article 7 of the Hamas Charter. The head of the Palestinian Authority, Abbas, recently said, "I'm 79 years old," he said, "and I have no intention of changing my ways." In other words, he has no intention of recognizing the legitimacy of the Jewish state of Israel and their right to exist. And the United States is expecting, our Secretary of State is expecting, after that statement, not only that Israel would sit down and negotiate in good faith with people that have said unequivocally they will never recognize the right to exist, and Israel's the bad guy here? Mr. Secretary, Mr. Speaker, Israel's the bad guy here? I think we got our priorities wrong. Not only did Abbas say that he would not recognize Israel's right to exist, we also heard in this last week that the Palestinian Authority and Hamas, which is a foreign terrorist organization, part of the violent Muslim Brotherhood, have said that they are looking to merge the Palestinian Authority and Hamas. And again, we're going to force our great ally, Israel, to sit down at a negotiating table and negotiate with terrorists over Israel's right to exist and give the terrorists 40% of their land? This is madness. This is, once again, an alternative universe that doesn't make any sense.